Rafael Devers homered me twice, and I'm still not over it. So let's break it down. I call this crisscrossing the corner. You know, tunneling is a crazy concept. There's no way a big leaguer swings at that. If this ball's 1-7, he absolutely crushes it. Boom, that's the breaking point. All right, Rafael Devers is a rookie at this point in time. He had just come up, I think, about a month or two before, so I really didn't know any information about him other than he was extremely hot. I think he's 20 years old at the time, and so here are the at-bats. Ball one, hit my spot, get a pop up to left, Fenway. Just execute the exact perfect sequence. Somehow hits a homer. Like, little overlay for you guys. And I finally get it done. So, all right, like I said, I didn't really know anything about him. Generally speaking, when I don't know much about someone, I will look at their swing and try to analyze their swing a little bit, see where I think they may struggle or where they may not. Devers' swing is kind of, it struck me at this point as being a little bit long and kind of a little bit choppy in a way. And so I was planning on attacking him with fastballs up. And generally speaking, when you have a guy with a long swing and you can beat him with fastballs up, he has to start cheating to that. And so then you can get him with, you know, breaking balls down as well. So that's the general plan. Someone who kind of goes out, takes the hands out and around the ball. Generally speaking, you can work them in here on this line, moving towards them with cutters or sliders or something like that. Generally speaking, balls that work this way aren't as good because their swing kind of goes out here and meets up with it and then wraps around it. So the attack plan here is going to be fastballs in this general area, and then we're going to try to get some breaking balls down, and we're going to chase him with some cutters. So first pitch, miss. I'm fine with that elevation. If I can just work, if you look down here in the bottom right, if I can work this part of the zone right here, I feel pretty good that I'm going to get strikes called in here, and I'm going to get some chase in that shadow zone around. So I'm happy with this first pitch, borderline pitch, and then we come back and hit my spot almost exactly. If we look at his swing here, front arm bends, next frame kind of pulls the hands in. You can see a little bit of a disconnect here in the wrists. So this whole front arm breaks down. The head is, there's curvature in the spine. The head is like tilting really drastically. So he's beat on this pitch and he's trying to clear his body out this way and get his hands to be able to pull him inside the ball just to get the barrel to the ball, which he does a good job of. He brings the hands in and gets the barrel to the ball. We can see there's never any full extension. I mean, you got arms bent in this frame, arms bent in that frame, just kind of pulling. I guess the full extension maybe happens here. He doesn't really know like where the ball is because he kind of slices this off. This isn't a like getting the barrel to it and driving the ball. The ball is kind of slicing off the barrel. So when he hits this, I think this is just a pop-up to left. I'm like, oh, it's going to be caught, or maybe it's going to be foul or something like that. I still can't believe this ball went out. And this is what you get in Fenway. That ball's an out in literally every other park. Probably got out by about 5 feet. But I feel like when I went back and watched that video, I feel like I beat him on that pitch. So to me, it's like, okay, this was a fluke. He kind of got this pitch. But if I go back in this up and in triangle here, I beat him. He rolled, his hips shot out this way, his spine curved, his head tilted. He had to do everything he could to bring his hands inside, and the bat still only got to a place where the ball kind of sliced off of the bat. And it's Fenway, so it ended up in a homer, and it made me mad. But this isn't something where I'm going to adjust my game plan. I didn't see him take this pitch here and pull the hands inside, get full extension, and drive it off over here in the gap or something. I saw that the fastball velocity and the location beat him, so I'm going right back with the same attack plan. So we start him off with a curveball. This one starts up, so anytime my curveball ends up kind of at this elevation, it's starting at this elevation. I'm going to leave these lines on the screen because this at-bat is one where the hitter's just really hot, and I executed the exact sequence that I wanted to, and I executed it perfectly, and he still beats me, which is just so infuriating, honestly. But he was super, super hot at this time. And obviously, as we know now, he's a very good hitter as well. So when you take a very good hitter who is very hot at the time, sometimes it doesn't really matter what you do. So anyway, first pitch curveball. When I say it starts off at this top elevation, it's if it were a fastball, it's heading towards that height. All right, and then it breaks down into the zone. All right, he takes it, has no intention of swinging at this. May have just been an auto take. You can kind of see, if you look at the hips, there's never any trigger of the hips. They're almost working this way as opposed to working open. So this could have just been an auto take, but we get ahead. Now we're trying to go up in here. Let me get a different color. We're trying to go back up in this up and in triangle that I referenced earlier, and we get there. And this is what I was talking about earlier, down here on the bottom right. If I can get balls in this area, I'm going to get strikes called in here, and I'm going to get plenty of swings in this little shadow zone around here. And so this ball ends up probably right about there, and we get that shadow zone swing. So now we're 0-2, and so off a fastball that ends up in this location, this fastball on the map here is probably about right there. Now if we just shift this top line, if we shift this one down this way, so now it's here, we shift the bottom line down to about here. So now the curveball that looks exactly like a fastball that he just swung at in this location is going to end up below the zone. And this is what we're trying to execute. Now my fastball runs back this way a little bit. So and the curveball sweeps this way a little bit. So in order to get the curveball in the exact same tunnel as the fastball, I'm trying to throw this ball kind of back foot at this elevation, trying to kind of bounce it about at his back foot and on the kind of in between the plate and the batter's box line. So I guess I'll clear the screen now so we understand what I'm trying to do. And what happens? Well, I throw the curveball exactly where I want. Berto is going down. He's going to block the ball. It's going to end up bouncing right about there. I execute this perfectly. Devers sees it. He swings, makes the adjustment, middle of the pitch to a curveball, and golfs it. Now, this swing is actually a much better swing overall than the first one. If you look at the integrity of the spine here, it stays, there's not nearly as much curvature. The head isn't tilted nearly as much as it was in the first swing, the first homer. So he actually puts a really good swing on this, and this kind of works into his swing path where, like I mentioned earlier, it's kind of choppy, but instead of taking his hands from, like, let's say this elevation and chopping straight down like this, he takes his hands from here and kind of scoops underneath the ball, and that's what allows him to elevate this. And something I didn't really notice in the swing, we didn't have a whole lot of information on him, but you can see here he's dropping the hands in elevation, and then he's able to, this is almost a golf swing, where the plane of the swing is very much like this. But it's not chopping down on the ball and then coming around it like the traditional like swing down on the ball, hit the top part of it. That's not what he's doing here. He's dropping the hands first, and then he's whipping the barrel kind of on this plane. Drop hands right to there, and then the barrel just whips through, and you can see it kind of follow that arc that I drew on the screen. So puts a really good swing on it, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Just not. I'm like, this is ridiculous. How did he hit that pitch? That pitch was going to bounce. Jay Bruce, my man out here, is just like, what? Just exasperated. Like, how did that go out? You got to be kidding me. And this is to illustrate exactly what I was just talking about with the tunnel. So these balls are overlapped right here. Watch how long, it's hard to see, but watch how long they stay overlapped. I mean, they separate, they finally separate right there. You can see the one ball is here and the curved ball is there. But up until that point, these balls are completely overlapped. And then you see where they end up. I mean, the fastball gets a swing through here, and the curved ball is on its way to bounce here. I hit the tunnel perfectly. I disguised the pitch perfectly. I threw it exactly where I wanted to in the exact sequence that I wanted to, and he still hits a homer. And this is ridiculous. I can count probably on one hand the amount of times that I've executed a sequence like this and not gotten the swing and miss and the strikeout that I was looking for. And that's extremely frustrating. I gotta be honest. And I still don't know, like, the first homer, it was a Fenway homer. I beat him with the pitch. He hit this, he kind of sliced the ball and hit a pop-up, at least how I interpreted it, and it goes out. All right, I'm mad about that, but okay, it's a Fenway homer. Then the next sequence, I come out and execute a perfect 3-pitch sequence, and he finds a way to hit a ball that's gonna bounce and hit it 385 feet, and it's another homer. And this is just so maddening. But anyway, now the third at bat, I go and I look at some information. I'm talking to my pitching coaches. I'm like, what the heck do I do? And so we decided to throw some changeups and some cutters and see if that works. Generally speaking, like I said, I don't want to throw too many changeups going this way because it kind of lines up with the swing that he takes. At least, that's the thought. But I figured at this point, he's hit fastball and he's hit curveball. Those are my two best pitches. This is before I have a slider, so I might as well go with a cutter or a changeup and see what happens. So here we go. The first pitch is, let's see. First pitch is probably a cutter. Looks like a cutter, kind of just straight. And honestly, this one should have probably been hit. I mean, this is the best swing that he's taken as far as the swing mechanics go, and like how, if you watch how he's rotating around his spine, how still the head is, how little tilt there is. I mean, he's right on that. Maybe just slightly out in front of it. There's a little bit of reaching here. But he takes a really good swing at that, and that's right where, I mean, that down and in the strike zone area is just where he likes the ball. So get away with that one. Next pitch, throw a really good changeup, starts in the zone, probably starts as if it's going middle, and then goes down. We get a take there. Doesn't seem to buy into it at all, just very easy take. Next pitch, throw almost the exact same pitch, and he misses it by a mile. I mean, he's not even close to this pitch. I'm not sure why we were set up for like a front hip changeup here. I don't remember exactly what was going on, if we had talked about something like that. Perhaps getting him to trigger on a fastball in and be way out in front and roll this pitch over. I'm not sure. Knowing what I know now about him, throwing a changeup or anything middle speed in this area is just asking for a homer to be hit. But anyway, this pitch really takes off. Kind of thumbs Berto. I missed my location really bad, but we get a swing. Yeah, not much more. I don't know. That pitch took off quite a bit. Kind of cool. It must have caught some a looper effect or some sort of seam shifted wake effect. And now I've thrown him a cutter in the zone and then 2 changeups running over here. So I decided to try to chase him a little bit like I was mentioning and see if I can get inside. If he's going to cast his hands out and around like this, which is what I thought at the time, I'm going to try to work in off the plate with a cutter. So that's what we do here. Takes it very calmly. And now after throwing off speed stuff and having it all start kind of on this elevation, I figured I would go back to that up and in triangle and see if I can get a swing on a fastball because I knew the fastball beat him. And that's what we get. Hit my spot pretty well here. And you can see again this bent arms, head tilts quite a bit. Curvature here of the spine. This means for the velocity is beating him right here. He can't get the barrel to it. I think if he barrels that ball, if he actually does hit it, it probably is another homer, just knowing how hot he was and for Fenway, where the wall is in Fenway and stuff. This really isn't that dissimilar of a swing to the first one. The only difference is the first pitch that he hit out was about here, and this one gets elevated a little bit more, where he is trying to lay off it because he feels like it's a ball. My reaction when he swings is it's not immediately called a strike, and I'm like, where was the pitch? I'm saying, this is a strike to me. That's in the zone. I'm like, why isn't it called a strike? And then he strikes him out, punches him out down there at third base, and I'm still just sitting on the mound like, what's going on? Just mass confusion. 1, at why it wasn't called a strike. 2, at if he was going to be out or not. 3, at how Devers has hit 2 homers off me. So I don't know. I'm still not over it. That's 2 runs, 2 homers that I gave up that I feel like I shouldn't have given up. I don't feel like I deserved to give up either of those homers with how I executed. But a young Rafael Devers before we knew much about him. Obviously, we've seen him turn into a really good hitter. So it doesn't surprise me knowing what I know now that he was able to do that. But knowing what I knew then, I was pissed. And I'm still kind of not over it. But that's today's episode. If you found value in this, if you liked it, please hit that subscribe button. It would help me on my way to 100,000 subscribers by the end of 2020. If you haven't already shared this video with some of your friends or shared this channel with some of your friends who might find it interesting, please do that. It would help me help more people. Leave me a comment. Let me know who you'd like to see me break down next. I'm probably going to be doing some breakdowns of my season games now that baseball is finally back. 2 days till opening day. So I'll probably be doing some of those, but if you got anything that you want me to break down, leave it in the comments. Any other comments, leave them down below, and I will see you guys tomorrow for the next video.